a quiet city wrapped in a hush of midnight blue, lived Callum, a kind-hearted caretaker of an old, creaking apartment building on Willow Street. His world was one of silent corridors, glinting lamplight, and the soft shuffle of slippers along linoleum floors. Each evening he made his rounds, checking door locks, tucking in stray mail, and humming tunes that faded like mist. Tonight, Callum curled up by his narrow window, rain gently tapping the glass, his favourite blue lamp casting oases of warmth on the peeling wallpaper. Yet as he reached for the small brass key that started every night's duties, his fingers closed on nothing. The key, his first task and companion, was gone, lost somewhere within the maze of shadows and hallway echoes. Curiosity, gentle and persistent, flickered with the lamplight. Where could the key have slipped away to? Somewhere close, surely, hiding in a sliver of dark, waiting to be found. With a muffled sigh, Callum slipped on his old coat, pocketed a flashlight, and stood poised on the edge of his familiar threshold, ready to step into the soft suspense of unknown possibilities. Stepping into the hallway, Callum's footsteps echoed through the narrow passage, footsteps swallowed quickly by the patient stillness. Overhead, a bare bulb swung slowly, sending ripples of shadow along the old linoleum. The air was thick with secrets, muffled radio static from behind doors, the faint murmur of rain on high windows, and at the end of the hall, the subtle click of something moving. Callum traced his route with care. The faded door numbers glimmered in the lamp's distant glow, and he paused at Mrs. Howell's door. A forgotten newspaper curled outside, catching a golden slant of light from a stairwell window. He stooped to retrieve it, finding beside it a curious sight, a single, slender feather, dyed midnight blue, almost luminous in the shadow. Was it a clue, left by one of the city's sly birds that sometimes slicked in through the battered roof fence? He tapped the feather into his pocket, smiling softly. The world, he thought, was alive with small mysteries, and tonight he would move gently through their unravelling. Down one flight of stairs, each step creaking, each banister shadowed, Callum paused beside the laundry room. From within, the hum of machines and the faint smell of forgotten soap drifted. Inside sat Mr. Llewellyn, the building's night janitor, humming a low, bluesy tune as he sorted mismatched socks. "Lost something?" Mr. Llewellyn asked without looking up, a gentle understanding in his voice. "My key," Callum replied, voice quiet. "The brass one, gone tonight." With a tap of a finger on a battered washer, Mr. Llewellyn nodded toward the far end of the laundry room. Strange things slip away at night. Sometimes they are right where you let them rest. Sometimes they wander. Try the mailroom. Sometimes all things find their way there. Thanking his friend, Callum stepped out, choosing the path that felt right, toward the mailroom, quietly observing the world through the lens of gentle intent. The mailroom yawned like a hollow behind its battered door. Inside, neat rows of tarnished mailboxes stood in patient ranks, their doors closed, but whispering with secret correspondence. Callum switched on his flashlight. The beam flickered over piles of envelopes and a broken umbrella, abandoned in a corner. As he searched, his light fell upon a slip of faded paper wedged between two mailboxes. Unfolding it, he read a child's scrawled wish. "I hope Papa comes home." For a moment, the world went still. Suddenly, from beneath the mail table, a pair of luminous eyes blinked. The resident tabby cat, Marlowe, stretched, her fur absorbing the shadows. She blinked up at Callum, then with a twitch of her tail, darted to the door and looked back, as if inviting him to follow. Perhaps, he thought, Marlowe knew something he did not. Down silent stairs and through back corridors, Marlowe led Callum through the building's secret arteries. The world outside was a blur of rain and sodium vapor, stripes of orange glimmering across the slick city street. Turning a final corner, Callum paused. The cat had vanished into the shadows, but beside the exit door, he spotted something curious, a pile of pebbles, arranged like a tiny trail. At the trail's end, a faint glint of brass half hidden beneath the radiator. He knelt. The world seemed to quiet, the hush penetrating even the city's neon pulse. He eased the brass key from its hiding place and breathed a sigh, relief tempered by wonder at the world's small mysteries. Just then, Marlowe appeared again, curling in contented circles at his feet. Feeling the gentle weight of the key in his palm, Callum wandered out into the street. The air shimmered with vapor, and the city's late hour was a lullaby of distant engines and uncertain dreams. Shadows stretched long across Willow Street, the wet asphalt reflecting the trembling glow of street lamps. From the alley, a raccoon peeked and then vanished. A moth, dazed by neon, thudded softly against a window. Above it all, the rain sang its secret chorus. Callum paused at the gate half hidden by overgrown vines. He recalled an old rumor that this was the entrance to a garden no one had seen in years. Impulsively, he tried the restored key on the gate's tarnished lock. With a quiet click, the lock yielded and the gate sighed open onto shadowed green. Within the garden, everything felt foreign and gentle at the same time. Moonlit ferns traced silver filigree in the dark. Old statues leaned in silent conversation, and a small pond mirrored the bruised sky, rippling with reflected neon. The air was thick with the perfume of wet cedar and distant flowers. Following the path, Callum's flashlight carved a pale arc over broken stepping stones. At the pond's edge, he found a child's marble, lost perhaps years ago, winking up at him from the mud, a talisman of remembered comfort. He knelt, tracing its cold smoothness, and felt the brush of rain on his sleeve, grounding him in this vanishing moment. A fox appeared in a splash of wet orange, pausing to study Callum with solemn gold eyes before slipping away into the brush. Every detail was full of reverence, beauty blooming quietly in the city's hidden corners. As Callum lingered at the pond, the sense of searching transformed into something else, a stillness, the kind found between heartbeats late at night. The journey, he understood now, was not only about the missing key, but about the gentle connections found in silence, in small discoveries shared with strangers and with old friends. Cradling the marble and the brass key together in his palm, he sat on a cold stone bench and let the world simply breathe around him. The pulse of the rain, the quiet watchfulness of the fox, the secret, steady company of a wandering cat. His breath slowed, his worries quieted under the old blue lamp back home, now a beacon in his imagination. In his chest bloomed a feeling of completeness, simple and profound, a reminder that sometimes what is lost draws out new paths, and returning is as gentle a gift as finding. After a time, Callum rose and retraced his path home, moving slowly through corridors now softened by memory and rain. He paused at each threshold to tuck Mrs. Howell's newspaper into her slot, to wave at Mr. Llewellyn quietly mopping under the corridor lamp, to stroke Marlowe's fur as she twined around his ankles in the stairwell. Back in his room, the blue lamp glowed softly, its light no longer just a comfort, but a symbol of the night's journey, a beacon that led through darkness and returned all things gently home. Callum hung up his coat, placed the marble and the feather beside the lamp, and set the restored key gently on its hook. He listened to the whisper of rain, the ticking of a clock, the story of the world settling around him. Peace settled inside him like a warm blanket. The world for tonight was whole and safe.